good and go. Hello, welcome to the Mike Weatherford Show. I'm Mike Weatherford. We got a show tonight that's going to feature Weakley County Mayor Jake Bynum. We're going to be discussing the tornado and all the damage and the rebuild efforts and what's going on over there. So hang around. That's going to be a good show. But we also got our local mayor, Henry County's pride and joy, on here with me tonight. We got Mr. John Penn Ridgeway. Welcome to the show, John.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me, man.
Hey, man, I'm glad
to be here.
I'm glad to have you.
I'm getting to sit in the hot seat, where you had a lot of local celebrities sit here, so I feel honored that.
Well, I'm honored to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me.
How's everything going with the county of Henry?
Everything is going okay. We had storm damage as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And we're still working through that, but our neighbors to the west of us, Weakley County, had a little bit more than we did, and Mayor Bynum and I have been meeting and working all across West Tennessee, and been on the phone with FEMA and TEMA for what seems like an eternity now, but it's just been about a month, but good things are hopefully happening. So
they will happen. Anything exciting going on in Henry County? No big announcements you want to come out and say?
Oh, no big announcements yet.
No big announcements going on. Okay. Well, you gonna tell me when it is time?
I will make an announcement right here.
Oh, that's what I want to hear.
We've got some things working, so that's good.
That's good to hear, man. But I think we need to get our guest on here. He's a very valuable man right now with all this going on. I mean, I feel privileged to have him to take just a few minutes and come in and talk with us.
Super sharp guy. We're honored to have him here.
I know I am. Well, let's introduce Weakley County Mayor Jake Bynum. Welcome to the show, Jake.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, John Penn. Henry County's pride and joy.
That's right.
Never. No one's ever referred to me as that. Weakley County's pride and joy.
Well, it's just how we feel about him over here.
I think that's. Talk to my wife, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So,
that I understand. That I absolutely understand.
John Penn, just pay me that money in 20s. If you met it, I'm sure you know his uncle.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Leon?
Yes.
That man has got more knowledge than all three of us will ever have.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
He's a hoot, is he not?
He's a hoot. Now, I told you once before, Jake, let's see, how is that? We're sixth cousins. Mm-hmm. So his great-great-great-great-great-granddaddy and my great-great-great-great-great-granddaddy were brothers. Ridgeways. So Leon has verified.
So that makes y'all like second kissing cousins, they call it.
I don't know how that is.
I don't know.
I had a guy that worked for me, moved from up north, and said, all of us down here, Ken.
We are. They didn't have bridges. We didn't have bridges for too long.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's exactly
right. Well, Jake, tell me a little bit, what does Jake Bynum do? Tell me who you are, what you do, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, born and raised in Weakley County, I tell people it's either the most fascinating thing about me or the most boring thing about me is the fact that I've never lived anywhere but Weakley County. So, went to high school at Dresden High School and then went over to UT Martin, got a 4-year degree over there, and then went to work for a local bank. I worked for First State Bank at the time. That's what my first big boy job was, and met the love of my life, got married. She's a school teacher. She teaches third grade now. Let's see, we've been married almost 12 years now. And I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son, two cutest kids in Weakley County.
There you go.
The 11-year-old probably won't ever live in Weakley County the rest of her life, and the 9-year-old may never leave my house. So that's kind of...
That's how it works.
That's exactly right.
But how long have you been the mayor over there?
So I'm going to be 8 years in come August. I've served 2 terms as mayor. Going to try it for a third time. Third time's a charm, I think. So I'm going to give it another shot.
Have you been giving our mayor a little bit hints and pointers and stuff?
I just basically have to hold his hand pretty regularly.
That's what I figured.
John Penn jumped right in, has done a great job in the time that he's been mayor. Y'all should be. Now, he had big shoes to fill. Now, I'll tell you, Brent Greer was one of my very favorites of all the ones across the state. Brent's been one of my favorites, but John Penn's done a great job.
He has. John Penn's done us a good job, too. He is. We're kind of proud of him. I mean,
y'all should be.
He's done a good job. job, and but no, he's still young, you know.
I guess I'm $200 in right now.
That's
Like
exactly
singing my
right.
praises.
And them $20 bills are flying. I feel like a male stripper with all them 20s going to be flying across here in a minute.
There we go.
He didn't want to talk about that.
He didn't.
That's a different story for a different.
That when we get Leon in here.
Yeah, I mean, I know some folks that you could call that could give you the history of when that was active in Henry County.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I remember it out here. It was pretty active at one time.
What? I don't have any idea
Yeah,
what y'all
we
might be
just-
talking about. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
we don't wanna go
Y'all-
there.
We'll stay away from that one. We'll just let that go. I bet you the mayor in Weakley County has all the same problems that small town mayors across Tennessee and the country go through. So what's some of the biggest, toughest issues that you and John Penn both have to face? He might agree with.
Yeah, I think John Penn and I are probably going to agree in the fact that workforce is a huge issue. And that's not a rural issue. That's an issue across the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people. I won't say don't want to work, but finding.
I'll say that.
Yeah. You know, I think part of the problem is certainly the pandemic didn't help that any. There were people that were in the workforce that took a step out and then decided, like, I'm old enough to retire and I don't have to work anymore, and so I'm not going to. And that takes out a huge piece of that workforce, especially those that were active and willing to be in the workforce. And so workforce is a huge issue. For us, economic development continues to be an issue around site development. How do you go out there and create an inventory in your community of sites that people want to come in and they want to locate in? Housing's a huge issue that I think all of rural Tennessee faces.
It's a big issue in Henry County, John Penn. It's huge. The rent around here is absolutely. What y'all's rent is high in Weakley County, is Henry County?
Oh my gosh, yeah. And
What's
we're
happened? Y'all is it just a lack of rental houses, or what the hell's happened?
Supply and demand is what it is, and it's all across the state. You know, our counterparts in Williamson County are experiencing it.
We're paying rent like Williamson County at times.
Well, their problem is the folks that work for the county governments, the school teachers,
They all
the firefighters, they can't afford to live
Right.
in Williamson County.
Right.
Here, our problem is we've got so many people moving here and coming in here, and we don't have enough quality housing. And right now, it's too expensive to start building.
It is.
With the cost of everything. It's just through the roof.
It's amazing that Mayor Bynum, that we got into this shape. I mean, you know, I can remember just it seemed like a few years ago when an average couple could rent a house for $400 or $500 and, you know, going about your business. But now I'm hearing rumors $800, $900, $1,200.
Yeah, if you can find something.
If you can find it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's supply and demand. That's what capitalism does. It's supply and demand. I mean, maybe we can get. I do see a lot of apartments getting built around here.
We are building more.
Duplexes and stuff. Are y'all doing that over there too?
We are. Of course, I mean, as Mayor Penn mentioned, Mayor Ridgeway, sorry, John Penn.
Oh, you're good.
He's a guy. Your name is Jake, and I'm Mike. He's got two. He's John Penn.
John Penn,
Yeah.
I know. It's people with two names. I mean, just can't.
It just drives you crazy.
It
though.
does. So, I mean, John Penn's right in the fact that, you know, the cost to build is so expensive that you just price people out of the market, really. And I think part of the problem in rural communities is that they've got to be more thoughtful about what that housing looks like. Not everybody needs a duplex that has 3 bedrooms. Some people need 700 square feet. That's all they need to live. And so that makes it far more cost effective.
But we got an issue with wages. You know, I don't think the wages, and y'all both mayors can correct me where I'm wrong, but I don't think wages have caught up with the price of rent.
They hadn't.
No, and are we getting more manufacturing jobs? Are they some of them coming around? Or are we still service oriented on both y'all?
In West Tennessee, you're seeing more manufacturing come in right now with the mega site announcement.
Right.
Our counterpart in Carroll County, Joseph Butler, has been very fortunate. Of course, when I went to work over in Carroll County back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, plants started closing.
Right.
They had an inventory of available buildings that have been in somewhat decent shape for the last 10 years. companies are coming in, and they're wanting to pounce and come into the West
That's
Tennessee
all about
area.
Ford. Is that basically?
Some of that's based on Ford. Some of that's just based on the economy in general and wanting to come to Tennessee because of our low tax rates and our economic community development state program is second to none probably across the country. So we're seeing some of that. I think one of the biggest things that we face is the shrinking of West Tennessee. We're fighting a battle with Clarksville and Montgomery County and Davidson and Williamson County. And so even our statewide position, if we go back to way back in the 80s and 70s when West Tennessee was kind of moving and shaking, we've kind of fallen behind, and they don't listen to us as much up there. But
we never have. As my daddy used to say, we always get the hind tits since Ned Raymond Warder left.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a Dresden guy.
Absolutely.
That was probably the last time that we ever got much in West Tennessee to speak of was when we had a governor from West Tennessee. Now they're all East Tennessee side. I mean, y'all can't say it, I can't. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Well, and I think we've got a good working relationship with all our mayors in West Tennessee, and we kind of look at it, it's not where the county line is. If he gets something good for his county, it's good for Henry County, because people cross that county line. Nobody knows where it's at.
It ain't horse and buggy day.
No,
it's 70 mile an hour.
So what's good for the region?
What are y'all building? Y'all got industry coming in over there that's looking around, or you got anything like that?
So right at the end of my first term, we had landed a company that was going to employ somewhere around 200 people. COVID certainly slowed that down. Mm-hmm. They weren't able to hire. MTD's done, one of my local manufacturers, my largest local manufacturer does ride lawn mowers. They've been bought out by Stanley Black & Decker, and they've done several expansions over my 2 terms as mayor. And so there's some internal growth that's been really good for us, but the challenge has been is getting people, every single company that I've got in Weakley County has got openings. And so that's really hard for communities like ours to recruit, because you got all these existing industries that have availability, and so that creates this real challenge as far as a recruitment standpoint.
And you got the Dragway over in Tatertown opening back up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the best news I've heard in a while right there. I'm an old drag racer if y'all didn't know that. But anyway, it is hard to expand, both of y'all again, in Henry County and Weakley County. When you don't have a workforce, they're going to have to steal from Peter to pay Paul. You have to take one plant to fire up another plant. I don't know if it's wages. You spoke a little bit a while ago about people retired out of it, but your younger generation is where I see that they're not jumping into the. Mm-hmm. Is it wages y'all are noticing, or they're paying $15 an hour to start out about anywhere now?
Paying more than they ever have, and we're still in the same the same.
So it must not be pay.
I don't think it's all pay. In fact, I think that's one of the smaller areas. Now you're seeing people jump across town for $2 and $3.
Well, sure, that's just human nature. You think it could possibly be that we have? This is something that I'm like Mike Rowe. Who
Dirty
Mike
Jobs.
Rowe. Dirty Job.
I love Mike.
There's time for college education, and there's time for us Mike Weatherfords out there. You think we've invested too much in these people that you got to go to college. You don't want to work in a factory if you don't. If you don't go to college, you'll be doing like this guy does. You'll be working on cars. Do you think we preach that so much that we've got these children soured that don't want to take a job that's in a manufacturing? Could that be some of it?
I think that's a little bit, but I think it's
a big problem.
It's changing, but it's taken a long time.
You was part of that.
I'm part of it,
and not blaming it. We do need higher education. I'm not saying I'm not against higher education, by no means. But we can't keep telling our children, you don't want to be a carpenter, you don't want to be a plumber, you don't want to be an electrician, and you don't want to have to work in a factory. Then all of a sudden, here comes these factory jobs. Well, I don't want to do that. I mean, are we reaping what we sow?
We are a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think, of course, I'm not going to take any blame for that because I hadn't done that. But no, I'm joking. But I think you're right. I think that's been a long history of what we've seen around how we've treated higher ed and those sort of things.
Well, you got these colleges now. Now that's not what this show's about. But you got these colleges that's taking that grant money, and they're making paper for anybody that wants a diploma. You can get one. It might not be worth a darn, but if you borrow the money, they'll give you a diploma. I mean,
Yeah, I think
they should be held responsible. Go ahead. Let's get back to what our story's about.
I think what we've got to try and do is we've got to be more focused on what's out there, what jobs are out there, and then how do we educate that workforce around those jobs.
Exactly.
You know, I'm a believer in higher education. I think that depends on where you are in what you want to do. That TCATs and community colleges and four-year institutions are all part of it, and not every single person's going to go to any of those three. But we've got to make sure that when we talk about, well, the cost of rent is gone up exponentially and wages haven't met that, is so how do we get those people to a place where they can afford to live in this community?
That's a puzzle that nobody knows. I have a boy at my shop now that's job shadowing to be a mechanic.
That's great.
And I'm tickled to have it. Being a mechanic for 35 years, I've owned that shop up there. To see a kid that takes interest, this kid has really got interest in this. I'm blown away because, you know, you just don't see that no more, you know.
Well, and you don't see that anymore because when you grew up, you had a granddaddy or uncle or somebody, and you went and your dad, and you went and saw what they did.
That's right.
All these kids now, you pull the phone out, and that's all they know.
Right.
And working in that for a long time, we had kids that were interested in that, but they didn't know the difference between a flathead and a Phillips.
That's right.
I mean, and so they're coming in there, and they're years behind because they weren't exposed to that.
Y'all got to college over in your town.
We do.
And that generates a lot for
sure. Absolutely. I mean, Weakley County would not be the same community without the university in it. And so, you know, we're real focused on the success of the university, but also the university understands that the environment has changed. You know, they're working on a project right now that the university wants to create a facility that will bring all three of those higher ed institutions, whether that's a TCAT, a community college, or a four-year, all under one roof, to be able to meet the demand of the current job market. And so that's where I think you'll see a lot of focus there, in the fact that, like, a lot of these jobs that we've got today in the manufacturing industry are going to also be high skilled. They're going to be robotics. They're going to be welders, pipe fitters, all of those sort of things. And that's not just something that anybody can come in and do straight off the street. You got to have some knowledge base for it.
You know, it's to look around this little studio you're in. There's a lot of technology in here. I've showed you around the control room. Did you see all that? It's amazing, ain't it? What it takes to do our little show here. But that stuff's not made in America.
Right.
You know, we need high-tech children to be able to make these. There's a cameras out here. I hate to be pointing that he's controlling in the office in the control room. He's got little joysticks. He zooms in and zooms out with. That needs to be made in America.
I agree.
I like for it to be made in Paris. I'd be tickling me. In your case, Dresden, it tickled me to death. So, hey, that camera right there was made in Dresden. That's right. You know, but we can do both. We can have educated children to do, because we need doctors, we need lawyers. I don't know if we need lawyers, do we? We got enough of them.
And you've got some sponsors.
They know that. They know I'm saying it. I tell them.
But they're the only two that you need.
That's right.
Only those two.
That's the only two. That's a joke, guys. But you know, we do need to work on getting these children jobs, because none of us want our children to leave.
No, right.
I don't want I've got 3 grandchildren. I got 3 children, 10 grandchildren, and I want them all to stay in Henry County. And I want them to be able to go to work, Weakley County, Henry County. We're all so close together. You know, the cars running down the road every day. Stay local. I don't want my children or your children or grandchildren to have to go to Williamson County or Nashville. So y'all are on the right game. Yeah. I know you are. Because you where I am, you.
Yeah,
you know.
I live, and he was talking about Chancellor Carver over at UT Martin, and I'm going to sing his praises for a little bit. He's the first guy that I know of anywhere around here that gets it, that wants to tie the 3 in there. Mm-hmm. You know, when I worked in career and technical education, if I went to a 4-year university or institution, they looked down on me a little bit. When I went to UT Martin and sat in the room with a bunch of engineers and the vice presidents and all that, they were fascinated by what we did. And so it starts at the top. So they've got a great chancellor over there. This project, it's called the Garage. I think it's changed. I was in on
Test Hub, I think.
Okay, the Test Hub. I was in on the ground floor and working on that a lot, and they're still working on it. That's a great thing for all of Northwest Tennessee. If we can get a project like that, that's going to help you lure in. If you've got a talent pool and you're starting to train folks, that's going to help us lure those industries that we
will.
can get in
It
here.
will.
And that's a caveat. And so having UT Martin, I mean, I'd rather it be in Henry County, but they put UT Martin over there 100 and some odd years ago.
Close enough.
And that's where I got my education. My mom and daddy went to school.
See, apples
and
fall out of trees that roll downhill.
They do.
So, you know, it ain't
That's right.
that far
That's right.
sometimes.
So,
You know?
Exactly.
so it'll be good. It'll be
exactly
good for
right.
us. So that's a good thing that
It is
they've
a
got
good
going
thing.
over there.
But with all that going on, what big projects is, we got our road out here. We're fighting it. I don't know. He can probably tell us in a minute where we're going with that. I've had our representative on here talking about that. I've had the guy building the road. He's been on here talking about that. So, are y'all got big projects y'all are doing
Yeah,
over there?
probably and we share some of this, but the biggest focus that I've had over my 8 years has been broadband expansion, especially rural broadband expansion. You know, I got people all over the county that do not have access to the internet right now, and we can, 8 years ago when I came out there and said like, hey, we need people that need the internet. I had commissioners think that was the craziest thing. All people just want to get on Facebook and watch movies on Netflix, and I think they now realize like that's our true necessity. That we're not just talking about watching something on why wouldn't you want to get on Facebook and watch this show every single week?
That's right.
That's the reason why people need rural broadband, is to be able to watch the Mike Weatherford show for sure. But on top of that, it's a way of life now, and it's a necessity. And I think we finally have a community that realizes that, and so that's been a huge project for us. That was what started out as a $62 million project that we've been able to whittle down and probably have about $20 million left of that project.
And that's roughly the same as Henry County's. And of course, we're waiting on the ECD grants. We've got federal funds to put as a match towards this. Now the state's got extra funding. I don't know, Jake's probably got, it seems like every department in the state's calling me and telling me they know how much money Henry County got in federal money, and now they're going to give the county extra money, but we've got to match it out of that. And so I've had 2 calls in the last 3 days, hey, we, a Department of Health and TDEC and wastewater, and it's like the state knows and they want you to maximize your dollars, but you've got to use it for this project to get X more dollars that's coming from the federal government. So we're working through that. But broadband for both the counties is a push. Henry County's got roughly about 10,000 residents that are still underserved and unserved. And really, it could be as close as 2 blocks over from here. And then we've got more remote places in the county. And I don't know what your map looks like, but our map in Henry County looks like a thing, Mike, that I took a puzzle and took half the pieces out and dumped it out there, and it's basically been gone on by the FCC for years, and it's a problem, and the state of Tennessee's addressing it now.
The problem is what I've seen, because you had your map on the show one time, the way it's cut up. And I don't even know, some of these companies I've never heard of that's got the rights to put that. They're never going to do it. Why don't they let whoever can get there in the rural parts, if West Kentucky Rural, which has got one of the best internet services around here, if they want to run lines, let them run it. Why do you cut up with all these? Y'all explain it to me, Mayor.
Well,
Federal government.
That's exactly right.
Well, why don't you just kind of ask for forgiveness? Sometimes
it's
it's kind of like with your wife. You don't ask for no permission. You kind of beg for forgiveness. Just let these guys run the internet, and the government don't know what Henry County needs. In Weakley County, y'all do.
Well, I mean, part of the problem is that the federal government's subsidizing so much of that build, and so they're saying like, well, you can't get money for that because this company's already over there. They say
But
they're
not
going to be
doing
over there.
anything.
No, absolutely not. I mean, that's been my biggest frustration is that I've got a service provider out there that says like, oh, well, we're providing plenty of internet out there in the rural parts of the area, and we're like, well, these people are calling us every single day saying they can't get on the internet at all, can't get a cell phone connected to their home, all of that sort of stuff. So, I mean, it's a real frustration. And part of the problem is that we've created an environment in Washington and even in Nashville where the power is where the money is. And some of these companies have huge lobbying arms that will go out there and twist and turn and, keep the little guy down.
Y'all need to let me be an intern mayor. In Weakley and Henry counties, let me have both counties for about a week. I'll get some shit done. Excuse my language.
So
I don't care
if it was that easy. And so Jake and I worked a project back in the spring, and we thought we had a good shot with it, and we had some other partners there, and I think there was probably 4 lobbyists that were working on behalf of both counties and some other counties to try to get a project done.
What happened?
Well, we didn't have the right lobbyist or the group we were working with. It only took one, Mike. And that's the same if you see it in D.C., you see it in Nashville, and it was the
squeaky wheel gets the grease.
And that's exactly what it was. And what we were wanting to do is the right thing for both these communities. And it just died.
Let me ask y'all a question. If I could get anybody to sit in that seat right there that pertains to what y'all two do as mayors, who would you want me to get?
Oh, golly, you put me on the spot now.
Who
do you want to sit in that seat that
who could do the most, that I could ask some questions about why ain't we got internet? Who would you like to see? Not throwing anybody under the bus, I understand that, but who would you like to see sit right there and can answer questions that we all have for? Y'all know, if you can't say it, we'll move on. But you know where I'm going, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Would it be the governor?
No, it would not be the governor. So. No, and the governor's put some money towards this. I mean, they understand it's not just Henry and Weakley County. My son lives in Memphis, and so he's got the opportunity to have about 3 providers where he lives out in, by South.
But it's all frustrating.
And so he's like, well, which provider? Well, we don't have that opportunity here in Henry County. If you've got the opportunity.
You do.
Well,
I've got my shop, AT&T, Spectrum, and that's about up in downtown.
So a few places do, but probably 90 of the 95 counties across Tennessee are experiencing the same thing as we are.
It's not working the way it is. The way it is right now, it's not working. Correct.
Correct.
So we need somebody in that
chair. I would say if you were going to hold somebody accountable for that problem,
but ask them what the hell's going on. Who would it be?
Somebody with the Federal Communications Commission would be.
Okay, I'm going to work on that. I'll get them in here.
That's who's created this problem and who then continues to.
My daddy always told me, it's kind of like your father and Leon, I'm sure your father too. They said men in overalls built this country, men in suits are tearing it all to hell.
True with that.
And so we need these people to answer.
Glad I didn't wear my suit.
No, if you wore your suit, I'd have been on you.
I don't wear a suit much.
But it can be frustrating to be small town mayors like y'all are. I mean, you don't get to drive the train, you don't get to toot the horn, you don't get to throw the candy out to the kids, but y'all catch hell when it jumps track, don't you?
That's a fair assessment.
This presentation of the Mike Weatherford Show is being brought to you by
Paris Power Sports, a bad boy and scag mower dealer and service center that is the area's leading power sports company since 2016. Mow with an attitude and power on.
Napa Auto and Truck Parts. With over 95 years of experience, you can trust the Napa know-how.
Take Me Back Cafe. Delicious home-cooked family-style meals in a nostalgic, warm, and inviting atmosphere. Take Me Back Cafe. Great for the entire family.
And the attorneys at Hawley & McAdams, who with over 90 years of combined experience, pride themselves in competent, thorough representation, utilizing their vast experience in a broad array of practice areas. Voted favorite law firm in the 14th Annual Reader's Choice Award, Hawley & McAdams are proud and honored to serve you.
Don't let pain become a way of life. Voted 6 years in a row as the winner of Favorite Chiropractor in the PI Reader's Choice Awards. Dr. Dustin Forrester can help restore your sense of normalcy and help put some spring back in your step. We are proud to announce the addition of Dr. Grace Burden to our staff, providing the service of dry needling for all our patients. Call our office at 731-644-9000 to schedule your appointment today, and you could be another one of our many happy and satisfied customers.
The decision to buy or sell a home can be a difficult one, and it's important to have someone you can trust during that process. Landmark Realty is that someone, committed to serving you and to building solid, long-lasting relationships. Our experienced real estate agents with established professional networks work hard to help you find your perfect dream home. Browse our wide variety of homes at landmarkrealtytn.com or stop in at either of our 2 locations in Camden or Paris. Don't live in the past. Let Landmark move you into your future.
Whether it's real estate, business, criminal, or family law, civil litigation, estate planning, or even personal injury, attorneys Andy Clark, and Chad Cox of Clark & Cox PLLC provide the experience and trusted representation that you're looking for. A long-standing Paris PI Reader's Choice favorite. Clark & Cox address your legal issues using the team approach, setting into motion a strong and highly competent and capable staff to assist you with all your legal needs. To find out more about how we can help you, visit clarkandcoxlaw.com or call us at 731-642-4446.
L.I. Smith & Associates, a full-service engineering and surveying company that combines 40 years of industry expertise with new cutting-edge technology to provide innovative solutions to real-world problems. Headquartered in Paris, the professionals at L.I. Smith are dedicated to providing high-quality surveying and civil engineering services throughout Henry County and the surrounding region. L.I. Smith & Associates, industry expertise, innovative solutions, and community-focused. 54 Fuel Mart, a great place to eat with friendly staff and some of the best gas prices in town. Stop in for a bite to eat and get treated like family. That's 54 Fuel Mart, 1213A West Wood Street in Paris.
Welcome back again. We had a little technical difficulties. We're going to try to keep this thing moving right along. We got here with Weakley County Mayor Jake Bynum, and we've got Henry County's own Mayor John Penn Ridgeway. Tell them hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
How are y'all?
I appreciate you hanging around for the second time.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to.
We had a little bit of issue, and
That's all right.
it's been moving right along. We got a lot of information out, and we've been about them rabbit holes. We went down a lot of rabbit holes.
That's okay.
Maybe some of them I shouldn't have went down. Maybe that's what happened a little while ago. We don't know, but on December 10th, we had a major problem over there.
Yeah, it did. Like I said, I've said many times, the worst 45 days of my life, certainly in my career, have been since December the 10th, when the tornado came through. Never in my wildest dreams, John Penn mentioned before the break, there's no way to prepare for it. You think you can do all this planning, and there's no way to plan for what happened on the 10th.
It ain't like a hurricane. So you get 2 or 3 weeks notice when a hurricane's coming, but you don't get hardly any notice when a tornado comes.
Yeah, and you just don't have any idea where it's going to land and what the impact's going to be. People out west, they see tornadoes all the time, but
and cornfields.
Yes, but wide areas of land.
I seen when I was watching. I was in my basement also. As the crow flies, Palmersville. Hico, Cottage Grove area. I was in my basement because when they were hitting y'all, they kept saying coming through Palmersville, Cottage Grove. They even named my road.
Right.
So I was in my basement. We had some major damage around my house, but luckily it missed my house a couple hundred yards. But when I got the TV come back on and they said we seen a debris cloud, out of Weakley County, my heart sunk, man. You know, that's horrible. What size was that one?
Yeah, it was an F3.
What's it, 150?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
I mean, just complete destruction, and like you said, I mean, you can see the pictures. You know, you can see pictures on Facebook. You can, you know, people share those pictures. You just can't even imagine until you get down into it and see it in a 360.
I have never been over there because, you know, I'm one of the kind of guys that I don't like the rubberneckers. They make me angry when you're out there around my house. You know, we had all that damage and power lines down, and they're trying to fix all that, and they're having to stop and let cars through. I mean, I haven't been over yet. I just, not because I don't care, it's just that I knew that wasn't nothing I could do. I didn't want to be in the way.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the most challenging. That's one of the things we've talked about over the last several days of what would you do differently. One of the things we would have done differently is we'd have shut down a lot more streets a lot earlier, because there was a lot of congestion those first few days.
You know, and it's just human nature, John. They want to see what's going on. I mean, I do and you do, but with today's technology we have, if you'll just wait a few minutes, it'll be on Facebook.
Mike, let me tell you a story. So I took maintenance crew over on the Monday after, you know, the tornado hit on Friday and Saturday. We went over Monday to help with cleanup a little bit. And so we were out there, a lot of congestion coming through. We had Henry County deputies over there trying to close roads. They weren't even restringing lines. They were just putting poles back in the ground. And a lady came up, very nice lady, you know, destruction all around you, and she walked up to us and she said, "Do you think the post office is open? I've got to send these Christmas cards out."
Holy Lord. Airmail, you just missed it a few minutes ago.
So that was,
you know, and the post office was open.
And the post, and we said, "I don't know, but I'm sure the one in Gleason and Martin is, because, you know, ma'am, do you not see that it's just all downtown is destroyed?"
Well, people just don't think anymore. I mean, you know, they just don't. Let's just leave it. They don't think, John.
And that's kind of what we got.
Show some pictures here. I don't know if these went through a while ago or not, but you can come on through them a little, you know, just jog through them, and I'll let Mayor Bynum sort of speak us through it.
Yeah, I mean, so that's headed like towards downtown from Morrow Street. You can see the courthouse up there in kind of the right-hand corner, and see the destruction there. That concrete slab, that's where Vaughn Brothers used to be. And so that's a huge loss for the community, but that's right there in nearly the downtown area. So some business affected, but also a lot of rental property affected. That building down at the bottom, that green roof, you can see that white building right next to it. Yeah. It was up on that hill where that.
So rental. Hold on a second. So that got a lot of rental. So that's already a tough market. So it's even been damaged further.
Correct. I mean, one of the biggest challenges we have, and one of the most challenging pieces that we haven't figured out yet, is what we're going to do with all the displaced citizens. That's right in the downtown area, so that's at the corner of Morrow, and then Locust Street is that little side street. Yep, Jerry's. Right. There was a resale shop down there. You can see now the courthouse over there in the corner. Right. You can start to see City Hall, kind of the destruction over in City Hall. Some of that's rental property right there. That's going up towards Locust Street, so that's going to be headed like towards away from downtown. You can see the Methodist, and Presbyterian Church up there. That's going to be City Hall, and then a row of businesses.
You told us before, Dead Ray's still good.
Ned Ray's fine.
That's right.
Courthouse is fine. I had 2 broken windows. That was it. The courthouse stood strong that night, which is just absolutely amazing, given all the destruction. That's the Methodist Church there without the roof, and then next to it, Simmons Bank, which is, like I said, where I started my career at First State Bank, and it completely lost its roof.
Yep.
And then that's headed up Main Street, which then turns into 54 towards Paris.
Kerry Harris up on the left, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Did it destroy his?
Didn't destroy it. Did some damage. You can see that green roof structure up there. That's a horseshoe apartment kind of facility where it was a bunch of widow women. So single ladies, elderly. They've all been displaced. There were 20 units, all but one of them could stay in their apartment. So I got 19 displaced elderly citizens. Yeah, I mean, just...
Jake, but what are you going to do? There's already a shortage. I had the mayor the sheriff from Humphreys County was on there. They had the flood down there. And I forgot, my numbers may be up, 300 and something families just gone. They don't know where they went. Not dead, just didn't. Are they displaced? Are these people going to come back? Or
yeah. So one of the things that
there's another house that's moved off. Is found. Two of them moved off.
Two
skirted that one across there. It looks
absolutely.
Like. Look at that.
I mean, it's just incredible what those tornadoes will do. There's a pretty affluent subdivision on the Sharon Highway. One of the houses out there, it's just amazing. It picked it up, moved it 20 feet, and then just set it right back down. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible when you look at the damage.
Move on with it, Kevin. Let's see some more trees and stuff. You keep going. There is something horrible. Is that as much damage? Is that a bunch of buildings there?
That's on the Sharon Highway, so that's going to be several rows of houses.
Gone.
So that gravel road right there that you see at the bottom of the screen, that's my brother's. That's our family farm. His house is okay, but the barn behind his house.
The major part there with the silos, between the silos and the road, was there a lot of houses in there?
There were. They're
all gone.
Several houses just right along the. You can sort of start to see driveways there.
And they're gone.
Gone.
I mean, nobody got killed.
Not a
the
single.
The good Lord was watching.
That's the thing we celebrate. That zero, the number of lives that were lost. I mean, it's incredible. Now, in this area right here, there was a family that was living in a house. They all got thrown from the house. They thought the son, 14-year-old son, was going to be paralyzed from the waist down, but he's regained feeling in his legs. He's at the Shriners Hospital in St. Louis, and it appears that he's going to make a full recovery.
What do y'all do with all the trash? There's a lot of damn. They're going to keep rolling as we talk. Go ahead, Kevin. There's a lot of trash that's accumulated, debris. I mean, where does that go? Do y'all just pile it and burn it, or do you carry it to a land? You couldn't I would fill the landfill up.
Yeah, so the vegetation, the trees can all be burned. We can cut them down and stage them and burn that. Everything else has got to be disposed of. If we're going to pick it up, if the county or the city's going to pick it up, then we've got to dispose of it, and we've got to dispose of it in landfills, which creates a real challenge financially for us, especially given the fact that the federal government hasn't given us public assistance. So the governments, nonprofits, churches, those power companies, the gas company, none of those entities are going to get reimbursement yet. Now, As of yet. Now, we think that assistance may be coming, but no guarantee yet.
Is that what FEMA would do, or is that TEMA?
That's FEMA.
FEMA.
Yeah.
So they haven't declared it a national disaster yet?
Correct. For the public assistance,
which is for us would be BPU, would be our highway department. So we both met with Senator Blackburn yesterday. We've had numerous conversations with Haggerty's office, Kustoff's office, all our federal delegation, as well as TEMA, and they we finally got individual assistance for the folks that were affected by that, but now we're waiting on the public assistance. They kind of tell us any day now, so that's what we're hoping for.
Why would the federal the Tennessee governor has declared it a disaster?
That's correct. It went up to the presidential, to the Biden administration. We're waiting on that declaration.
Why would it not be?
We have no idea, because typically what you see in a disaster is the public assistance piece actually comes just a little quicker than the individual assistance. And so the state has to meet a threshold of about $11.5 million of damage that's faced per capita. Of the $11.5 million, and we think we've met that threshold, I'm 6.1 of that $11.5 million. And so I carry the biggest burden for everybody. Not proud to do that, but I'm doing that.
I'm just amazed that that this hasn't been. It's a federal emergency. Sign the papers, reimburse our utilities, y'all's utilities, get everybody back to where they started with, and help these people get on their feet. And there's people that they haven't know where to live. I mean, can you imagine? We're all sitting up here knowing it's bad, but we haven't lived to that. Can you imagine going home and don't have a house?
No, it's awful. Now, to give you an example of FEMA and federal government when they come in, and they're here to help, and we don't want to knock it, but there's still open cases, Mike, from Hurricane Katrina. that they're still waiting on reimbursement. So you're looking at, if Henry County gets declared, and we're one of the 14 counties that the governor declared for public assistance. Of course, Weakley County had the most damage. Our utility company, Parish Board of Public Utilities, had a little over $600,000 worth of damage. From FEMA, if we're get declared, BPU would recur about 75% of that money they would get back, but it would be years before. It would be 2 to 3 years probably before.
What are y'all's utilities? Do you know the
my
price?
utility is going to be in the millions. Yeah. I mean,
basically what I'm learning from all this, talking with y'all two, that's basically what I do, is learn. We don't need to depend on nobody. We need to take care of ourselves.
And I think we've done a good job. Both counties have done a good job. Our folks there in Henry County, they stepped up to the plate.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. We got to learn, that the government ain't going to be there to back us up. We're all in this day and time. And don't take me wrong, guys. I mean, I don't know what y'all know, but everybody seems to want the government to take care of them, Well, they ain't really capable of doing it. Because it takes this long, and we had to spend $600,000. Y'all had to spend millions of dollars. Right now, we're on our own.
Right now, they're on their own.
That's right.
And
so we gotta, so that's why we all need to work together, like y'all been doing. Henry County Mayor, Weakley County Mayor, kind of working together. You was over helping them. Our deputy was over there, and I'm sure our BPU has probably had some people over. If we have trying to get our damage back going, but I'm sure
we got ours back on, and I think we were going to send. But there was plenty of other counties that were over there, but everybody had to step up.
What is this about here, Mayor?
So yeah, I mean, obviously, when you have something like this, there's a huge need, and the federal government and FEMA's doing individual assistance, but we know that FEMA's not going to make people whole, and so what our goal is to try and get people back to not where they were on December 10th, but really to a better place. And so what we're doing is we're soliciting, cash is king. We feel really good about where we are on physical and material donations, but what we're going to need at the end of the day is we're going to need access to capital to meet some of these unmet needs that the federal government's not just going to be able to do for individuals. So to get them new appliances, furniture, figure out how we're going to get people in houses.
Is there another, the Weakley County Tornado Resources verified one? So you got a GoFundMe, or is there a place that people can send money directly to?
So there's a GoFundMe that the Dresden Rotary Club, which is our largest kind of receiver of donations,
right,
and that's their GoFundMe. You can also go to that website and click on, that's our county website, and you can click on Tornado Resources, and it'll also direct you to where you could mail a check instead of doing a GoFundMe. It'll also provide
may have that. There we go.
It'll also provide you with all the information that you need to know about the tornado.
Right.
One of the things that I really want to mention tonight is so the citizens of Henry County don't have FEMA on site over here in Henry County,
right,
and so they can come over to Weakley County to the Professional Development Center, 8250 Highway 22. It used to be the old Votech school.
Mm-hmm.
They can go right there and talk to a FEMA representative today about getting help. So there's a designation for this entire disaster, and so they can come in there, they can fill out their application. If they've already filled out their application, they can see where they are in the process, all of that sort of stuff. But we want citizens, not just from Weakley County, but all in the surrounding area that don't have FEMA centers, to come over and talk to those representatives, because I promise you, it's going to be a lot easier to talk to somebody sitting across the desk than it will be once they leave and you have to talk to them on the telephone.
Phone. Yep.
Yeah. How long have they been there?
So we think that they'll be there through maybe sometime next week. They won't be there. We've been told that typically what happens is that about the time people start getting their denial letters is when FEMA picks up and moves out.
Yeah, they don't want to hear
calling.
that.
They started Saturday, right? This
Correct.
past Saturday.
We did a soft opening on Saturday, and now we're open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. there at that site, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday as well.
So what are y'all needing from the locals? Is there anything that, there's Henry County is the volunteer county or the volunteer state. We got that number,
You got it right.
We got it right. And there's always people trying to help. I kind of beat on them for riding around and looking. Well, that's one area. But we also got a lot of people here. I think our one of my sponsors was implementing helping y'all getting a tractor to
Absolutely.
do. That was
Paris Power.
Paris Power. I had to look around and get the name of it. But helped y'all get a little tractor. What do y'all need as far as manpower? Of equipment? Is there what places volunteers can stage?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've been really fortunate is that center that I was talking about where FEMA's located. That's also what we're doing, all kinds of things recovery related. And so if somebody or a group of individuals wants to come over and volunteer, they can call my office number 364-5413.
We got that number.
I don't know that you all have that on the screen. I don't know that I sent that over, but 364-5413. But they can show up there at the center too. That's where our volunteer coordinator's housed right now, and she can get them directed to where they need to go. But it's really better to call because right now we're in a kind of a cleaning up, tearing down kind of scenario.
Any idea what y'all needing?
So right now, I think what we're really focused on is trying to get things cleaned up. What we know is that FEMA and the government, so the city and county, if you're uninsured, if you don't have insurance on your property, and where I have insurance on mine and I can pay somebody to come in and take my stuff down and haul it off, if I'm uninsured, nobody's going to do that for me unless I get a volunteer to come in and do it. Right. And so we're going to do a lot of that.
And some tractors and maybe some trailers and trucks to haul it off.
Lots of trucks we need because we got to get this stuff hauled off to wherever it's going, whether that's the landfill over here or whether it's the landfill in Bynum County.
Are they waiving fees for landfills?
They're not. No. I mean, landfills are money makers, and so they're not waiving fees.
So even in y'all's county, if you hauled Weekly County,
I don't have a landfill in my county.
Y'all didn't have
no, I don't have a landfill in my county.
They would have to haul over here, and so here's the other part of that. We don't know about public assistance yet, and we're dealing with this here. He's got to keep up for FEMA how many loads they haul off and have those receipts, and then if they do declare it, we'll get some of that money reimbursed back there. But if they're hauling something over, and I don't know that y'all brought anything over to the parish.
Individuals they have to pay too. If I was a volunteer,
absolutely.
Could I keep my receipt, get my money back?
Well,
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
I wouldn't count on it.
I understand.
Now, what we can do is like you mentioned, or John Penn mentioned, 75% of our expense, if we get that declaration, is going to get reimbursed. However, if you come over and you volunteer, I get to count your hours towards my match.
Correct.
And so that's going to be really beneficial for any community.
Sure. So you need people to bring tractors, if they would, call you first. Don't just show up or hire us, Weekly County. We can get you a way to find it. And get over there.
Just go to that website. Go to the Weekly County website.
Yeah, and they have all the information. Okay, yeah. And they can just come over there and you'll fix them up. And if they want to help with money, I'm sure food is not an issue. Y'all are good on food.
Right. Don't bring us any water. We don't need water.
We got water
we can
for
baptize
years.
Everybody in Dresden twice. Don't bring any water. And we're really good on donations right now. Now that I'm sure that will change as we go along.
Sure,
and there will be things that people will need that they don't need. Right. I mean, lots of people don't have homes, and so where are they going to put a bunch of stuff?
That's right.
So that's not what we're looking for right now.
You're needing help to get over there, clean the mess up, so y'all can evaluate. Work on finding these people houses where they can go back to living in and go back to work, and somewhat try to build their life back.
Absolutely.
It's like, it's just horrible, John Penn. I mean,
it's terrible over there.
It's just, and I want to try what I can to get my listeners to help y'all because, like I said, Henry County, that's what we're all about over here, and we try to help, and I try to help on my show. But I want people to contact Kevin if it's not too hard that he's showing more pictures. Here in a minute, if you could put that website back up. If you can find it. I know you're a busy man, and I'm asking a lot from you.
Like you mentioned, we think we've got.
There we go.
Just a hair.
That top line, weeklycountytennessee.gov, tornado resources. Folks, go there, and I'm sure there's going to be ways through that website that you can get in touch with the mayor's office, and you can get in touch with whoever you need to if you're retired or if you just want to go help. I mean, we want to help people. Go over there and find out what they need. Take your tractors and your trailers and go over and help these people. Let them get back into their what little bit of life they got left. It's horrible.
Yeah, we think we've got about 125 family units that have completely lost nearly everything that they've got.
And you don't have 125 in inventory to give them to go.
I don't have 125 places for them to go.
Are they motels that they're staying in?
Lots of citizens in motels, lots of what we call, couch surfers, that they're staying with family, and that's going to come to an end. I don't want to stay with my in-laws for any longer than I have to, and none of these people do either.
Well, you ain't close enough kin to John over there. He probably wouldn't let you stay long anyway. Y'all say 18th cousin or something, 29 cousin?
Like that,
yeah, way back in there. Yeah. But it's sad that, that people's out there in cold weather too. I hope nobody's living in their cars. Tell me that's not happening.
That is happening. We dealt with a young lady who was living in a barn and working at a manufacturing place over in Weakley County. She was taking the scrap wood from work and taking it back to the barn and burning it to keep warm. And we finally got her. We got her in a hotel, and then we've tried to identify some housing assets for her to go into. What's really challenging, what we're saying is that these are people that have lost everything, and what we're trying to do is to work with them to get them back to a good place. And you're having to look at people and say, now, you're going to have to do some of this work for yourself. You're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to call and you're going to try and find you an apartment.
Do so much,
and then we'll get you resources to help you pay for the first month's rent or the deposit or something like that. But you got to do that. But if you hit a hurdle, come back to us. We'll work with you. We've got to be compassionate.
That's what
as we deal with these
got to
people.
learn to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
And I hate to say it in that kind of. We're going to have to learn. The federal government's. And it's not there when we need them. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but we got to go back to the way it was when our parents we helped our neighbors, like they do when somebody dies. They always carry them a casserole. We're going to start going back to that kind of deal.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that really people have got to know about the federal government they're going to, there is an assistance piece to that's really important. But for the most part, people are going to get denied on the first application, and so they've got to continue to work that process as well. And we're here to help those people to do that. But that's going to be really challenging, and it's going to be frustrating, and we understand that. And that's why we've got to step in at the local level and assist with that.
Basically, the people that's insured up, they all right. Not all right, but I worry more about the people that's just starting out.
Underinsured, uninsured.
We had two Henry County residents affected by the tornado. This was yesterday, that have already been denied by FEMA that were uninsured. And so we've contacted Congressman Kustoff's office, because then you have to have a federal case and a caseworker on that. And we weren't given a reason for why they were denied. We know they were affected. We know they lost pretty much everything because of the tornado. It's just a process. Unfortunately, it's sometimes it's not an easy process, but both counties stand ready to assist their folks, and we know that it's going to be a process, but we're going to continue to punch on doors and knock on doors and keep on calling and be persistent, because that's what we have to do in this case for those folks.
I'm going to say something y'all can separate yourself from. Just be a damn illegal across the border. You'll get help quicker. And y'all guys ain't got to say nothing. I can say it and y'all can laugh at me. But it seems to me like with all the crap going on, just go down there and come back across the border. Hell, you can get some help that way. It's sad we're in it. Y'all may not agree. I don't care if you agree or not. That's how I feel. And that's and I'm just going to throw it out there. It's sad. That what we're living in. All right. Well, anyway, what about looting? We ain't had a big problem with that, have we?
There was some looting early on. We nipped that pretty quickly. The local police department and sheriff's department worked that really quickly. Now, what you're going to start seeing is these fly-by-night contractors that come in and, well, if you'll pay me $5,000, I'll fix your roof, but I'm going to come back tomorrow. Don't pay anybody up front. Don't do any. It's amazing what you have to tell people. That you think is just common sense, but don't pay people up front.
You're right, mayors, both of y'all, but you got to understand these people are stressed out.
Correct.
They've had their house tore down. Here comes somebody, they're hearing, and everybody was busy before this anyway, and now we can't get to it. Here comes a guy, I can do it, but I'm going to have the money down. Well, they're just desperate.
I know.
And it's sad. You're exactly right, Mayor. You are.
And we've worked with a lot of people also around, like, frustration with their insurance. Frustration with their insurance company. company or public adjusters or, I mean, it just amazes me. And the other thing that really has amazed me is these groups that come in to help from Lord only knows where, all over the country.
Yeah.
And you're trying to vet those people and make sure that they're not some shady group. And some of them do really good work and some of them don't.
One of the neatest, I won't say neatest things, Mike, you could tell when we were over on Monday and kind of, assessing and helping a little bit, is the amount of adjusters, insurance adjusters walking around. And you could tell who they were. Because they weren't there to work, they weren't there to pick anything up. You could tell all of them, but it was like, I mean, how many? It looked like,
they come in
they brought a bus in.
Yeah.
So many insurance.
I wonder what they cost the insurance companies.
Oh, there's no doubt.
It's got to be in the billions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I set that one picture you showed me, just like it wiped out a whole neighborhood right there. I mean, I'm sure today's market, if Weakley County is anything like Henry County, that was $1 million worth of houses right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible the loss that insurance companies are going to take.
But they can handle it.
That's exactly right.
They lost. Vaughan Brothers Hardware was their hardware store.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essential.
It's the Dresden Walmart.
I mean, and it's essential, and they've lost that.
Yeah.
It's a great hardware store.
Are they going to build back?
Yeah, they talk like they're going to build back, but that's challenging. Vaughan Brothers has got every screw they've ever had,
we had a Wallens here.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's hard to replace those, that inventory that you've had for years.
And once you lose that, you don't know what you got till it's gone. There's many times I want to walk over at Wallens Hardware and get just a couple of certain size screws that you can't find anywhere unless you go to Lowe's and dig, and it's terrible, man.
Yeah.
But so I bailed y'all out. I got my opinion across and I moved on, so y'all didn't have to look bad.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
But I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you, I appreciate
Anything
it.
else you want to end it with? I mean, I want you and you and John Penn just join in. Y'all tell the people out there, if we're still going out, who knows nowadays. I may have made the FCC mad, they turned me off. But anyway, tell everybody what to do. I mean, what you want to tell them, and John, you back him up, and I'm going to let y'all talk.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that we're really focused on outside of just the tornado is the fact that when you looked at the community now, you saw all these other issues that you knew were there, but you didn't have the opportunity to see. People that were really in need, people that were really just down on their luck. And so what we're really focused on now is not just those people that are impacted by the tornado, but that this is an opportunity for the community to be better and to be stronger at the end of the day. And then what I have to focus on is that it's not just Dresden, that those issues are present in Dresden, but they're also present in Gleason and Greenfield and Sharon and Paris and Cottage Grove and all of those places. Yes.
You heard of Hyco?
Hyco, absolutely.
That's where I live.
Absolutely. And so all of those structural issues and poverty and the things that we think are just not outside, just outside of our community, are there and they're present. And so what we now have is an opportunity to look at those things, to focus on really what matters, and that's to get people to a better place than they were before.
Right.
I just want to say thank you to all the folks over in Henry County that volunteered to help here. Mm-hmm. We couldn't have done this, Mike. Our rescue squad, our first responders, our Board of Public Utilities, all our volunteer fire departments, all the people that just got a chainsaw that got out and helped clear the 32 roads, our highway department. I'm going to leave somebody out, our EMA. They stepped up to the plate over here. And then they went over and helped a neighbor, and that's what you like to see. You don't see that a lot of other places. That's why we choose to live here, right. Because we're family, we're neighbors, and we step up to the plate, and we're going to continue to do that. But we couldn't have done it without our dispatchers. Everybody played a role, and so many people just stepped up and are continuing to step up. And we want to make sure that people know here in Henry County as well as in Weakley County that there's still a great need for volunteers, and we, resources, capital resources. This is going to, when you have, and both counties were hit by an EF3, Ron will tell you more next week, but it was like 138 to 141 mile an hour tornado that went, right close to your house. It's going to take months for us to rebuild over here. It's going to take years for Dresden and Weakley County to rebuild.
Let me ask you, is Henry County, do we have a lot of people that's lost their houses? And we got all them back-in houses now?
So we've still got a few in hotels. We're still looking,
slowly weeding that out.
We're working through there. We've got some in other places close. It's still a process.
What do we need?
Well, we need resources. We need money to help build back. If the folks that were uninsured don't get FEMA reimbursement, then we're going to have a long-term problem of how are we going to replace what they've lost.
If they stay here in Henry County,
that's just going
to add to our deficit.
If they stay here in Henry County and they didn't have insurance and FEMA has, not stepped up to the plate, we're going to have to figure that out. And so we're going to go through all available.
The richest country in the world, the richest country in the history of the world. And we're sitting here talking about if they don't help, if they don't. It's sad, ain't it?
It is.
It's sad.
I keep going back to, it's your money. It's your money.
That's
it's
right.
my money.
Yeah,
it's out there. We ought to be taking advantage of it, and we ought to get it back. That's the reason why I paid it in.
It is. I mean, I'm a business owner, and I'm taxed heavily, and y'all all are taxed heavily. I mean, I got a couple of deals I do that taxes me like a mule, but,
It's because you got so much, right?
No, because no, the government's got it now.
They got it, that's right.
But,
that's right.
I know I'd put y'all on the spot, and this is nothing to these guys. These guys are professional. I'm not. My name's on the front, but it don't mean nothing. But it's sad that we live in a country to where you're better off to slip across the damn border to get help than you are to go to your own government because a tornado tore your house down. Folks, something's wrong with this picture. Something's wrong with this picture. If I'm wrong, but that's how I feel. Mayor, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Mike.
I didn't know I was going to preach a
opportunity.
sermon at the end, did you?
Hey, that's all right. Everybody needs a little gospel sometimes.
They need a little gospel, man. I really appreciate you coming on. It means a lot that you take time. I know you're busy, and I know that what you do now is going to take years to get done. I mean, you're going to be fighting this battle when everybody else has forgot about it. You're going to still be fighting this battle.
Right there in the trenches.
That's right.
That's
John,
what we do.
Same way with you.
Appreciate you, Mike.
Same
Thanks for
thing.
having me on.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks,
But you're going to be fighting the battle too, man.
We are fighting the battle, and
because as long as he's fighting it, Henry County's going to be fighting.
We're fighting it together, and like I said, we've got a good relationship. We work across county lines. Pick up the phone, and it's all our battle in Northwest Tennessee because if it didn't affect the county in Northwest Tennessee, it affected the county next to it. So every mayor, every EMA director in this part, and we've got a good group. They've stepped up to help out where they can.
I've always said this when I talk to people about we're all in this together. Sometimes we fight amongst ourselves and we argue and we'll get mad at Weakley County when we play ball teams or, something. But when it comes down to it, fellas, we all in it together. Absolutely. You know what I've learned mostly tonight? Y'all ain't going to believe this. I ain't never going to be a damn mayor. Don't want the job. So, John Penn and Mr. Miley, you'll never hear you got to run against Mike Weatherford because I don't want your job. It's too much responsibility.
I appreciate that.
And I feel like that we got two of the best guys at the helm right now. I know you personally. I've never met before till tonight, but I feel like the Weakley County's got a good man leading them.
Thank you.
I think you're compassionate about what you're saying, and you stepped up. I can see it in your eyes. I'm looking right at you, and you're passionate about it, and you really are trying to help the people.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, I gotta let these people go. They gotta get back to work. They gotta get back to work. But I want to appreciate them for tuning in and hanging out with me tonight, folks. I mean, we had a good show. We had a Weakley County mayor that we've seen some pretty horrible pictures of what went on over there, and they're still needing help. And you can go back, rewind, and you can see them websites to go to and try to get some help in people. They need some help. we got Henry County Mayor. He's been in here with us and got us a little bit on the path of what we got going on in Henry County. He's leading us on that area, and we still got a few people here that need some help. And you can contact the Henry County Mayor's office. They can tell you what you can do to help Henry Countyans too.
Absolutely.
But I got a Purrier Strong will be giving out free food boxes Wednesday, January 26th at the Purrier Community Center from 1 to 5. This is a drive-up event, so drive up and items will be placed in your car. For more info or if you have questions, call 309-261-8120. That's January 26th at Purrier Community Center from 1 to 5. Folks, coming up next week, we've got Ron Watkins, Henry County Emergency Manager Director. We're going to find out exactly what that job does. Find out what they do to prepare for bad weather, like tornadoes and stuff, and winter ice storms and stuff. But don't forget, Wednesday, February the 2nd, I got a special edition show. We're going to come in on a Wednesday. We're going to have a comedian, Jeff Allen. You don't want to miss this one. This guy right here is something. He's got a tour he done or doing. It's called the American I Grew Up In Tour. Don't miss this show. It's going to be fun. We all need some laughs with all the bad going on in the world with the COVID and tornadoes and all the bad news. Let's laugh at ourselves. So tune in next Tuesday for Ron Watkins, Wednesday, February the 2nd. And I appreciate all my viewers, appreciate all my sponsors. See you next time.